And welcome back to the channel. On this video, I want to talk about e-bike batteries and whether you need a second battery or not. And the reason why I want to talk about this today is because I frequently get asked questions about my bikes, and one of the top questions is, our most common asked question is about the battery and how far you can get. How far can you ride it on a charge? So I thought, well, let's talk a little bit about that today on a video. As we ride around in the rain, we're between raindrops at the moment, but we had frequent rain today off and on, but a lot more on than off. And some of it was coming down pretty good. But anyway, let's get back to the battery talk. So basically, to me, and if you look at how often people generally ride their bikes, I think you only need one battery. Because a lot of times when you look at how far, what distance the average person travels on their e-bike, you wouldn't believe how low it is. Like, it's like 10 miles. So, I mean, most all batteries that you get on an e-bike are going to be, geez, a minimum of 10 amp hour, I would think, even on the cheaper bikes. But most times you'll get more in the 14 amp hour range. A lot of times it's between 14 and 20, I'd say, is what the most common battery sizes that you get. Unless it's a much cheaper bike, then you might get a 10 amp hour. But it depends too on different things like cold weather. If you're riding cold weather, the battery won't last as long. But generally, the way I look at it is that if you're throttling only, you can usually get, this is the way I figure it, is you're going to get 1 mile for every amp hour. That's throttling, and throttling pretty good, like, you know, not always pinning it, but you know, using the throttle all the time. And that's on the kind of on the safe side, I would say, is 1 amp hour is 1 mile. And pedaling, I'd say that's closer to 2 miles. So if you take even a 10 amp hour battery and you get 2 miles per amp hour of riding, then that battery would be suffice. You know, it would work for you. You wouldn't need to get a second battery. And let's face it, the most expensive part of your bike is your batteries or battery. It takes up usually close to around 40% of your price of your bike is your battery, and in some cases it can be 50%. So when you look at the price of your bike, a lot of that price, a good chunk of it, is the cost of the battery. So once you know, if you think about getting a second battery, you want to keep that in mind, that you're going to pay hundreds of dollars extra for an extra battery that you may not even need. The one thing about having multiple batteries, or a second one, is that you don't have to charge up all the time or as often. Whereas if you have one battery, then you just have to charge up every time you're done your riding. And for me, this bike I'm on now, the Lyric Graffiti, has 2 batteries. I chose the dual battery, and I chose that because I wanted to make sure I had enough for throttle only, because to me this bike is not the most friendly pedal bike, and so I don't really pedal this one. So I chose to have dual battery. But that's something you might want to think about if you're looking to purchase a bike, is how much you're going to ride the bike. So if you're going to ride it like a fair distance, like say more than 20 miles a day, you know, up in that 30-mile range or so, if you start getting up that high, which is a lot, then I would definitely recommend dual battery or 2 batteries. But otherwise, I think for most people, they'd be happy with just 1 battery, and that would sure save you some money in cost of a bike. And it depends on the bike too. Like I say, like this bike here is more of a throttling bike, whereas if you get a bike that is more pedal friendly, then might not be so bad. But and also let's face it, the different terrain you're on. Are you climbing hills a lot? Are you in a hilly area? If you are, then you might want to go for the dual battery. But batteries, like I say, is the big thing. Like, how far can you go on a charge? What's the range on your bike? That's a big one. And another question I get asked probably first, how fast will it go? And then the other one that's the big one commonly asked is, how much does the bike cost? And it used to be more when I would tell people, like when I first got my first bike, you know, and I would tell people how much they'd like, their jaw would drop. They'd say, wow, that's a lot of money, right? But now I don't get that so much. People say that that's reasonable more, you know, like if you get in the, for most bikes, probably in the, what, 1,500 to 2,000 range, and then some of the lower budget bikes would be 1,000 to 1,500, and then you start getting up beyond 2,000 into the 3, 4, and 5 if you want to spend that, or even more. So hopefully that helps someone in deciding whether to get a second battery or not. Just depends on how far you ride and how much you're going to throttle as opposed to pedaling. That's going to do it for this video. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, thank you very much for doing that. Just hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified as to when the next video comes up on the channel, just hit that notification bell and you'll be notified that the next video is out and available. And if you want to comment on the video or any other video, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. Once again, thank you for joining me on this video. And until next time, keep your wheels on the road. We'll see you later.